Do I stick out?
Check out my new book! 101 Intermediate Phrasal Verbs! Wow, I'm so excited about my new book. Hey, if you want to get this book, it's on my website right now. I'll put the link to this book right down there in the description below the video. But this is my new book, 101 Intermediate Phrasal Verbs. Now, my last book was called 101 Advanced Phrasal Verbs. So what's the difference between an intermediate phrasal verb and an advanced phrasal verb? Well, I don't know. I have no idea. I was just guessing, right? I wrote these books on my gut feeling. But I think most of the phrasal verbs in this book will be a bit easier than the phrasal verbs in my advanced book. But actually there are still some phrasal verbs in this book that are pretty challenging. So even if you are if you think your English is pretty good, you might be challenged by this book as well. But I would say if you are pretty confident in your English, then this book might be a bit easy for you. Then you should get my advanced phrasal verbs book. But, if you are an intermediate student or a beginner student, I think this book will challenge you, and I think it will help you, improve your range of vocabulary. Sometimes English learners learn how to say something, but the problem is that in English, there are many ways to say something, and very often native English speakers use phrasal verbs to say something. Native English speakers use phrasal verbs much more than English learners. That's the truth. English learners will say a word like arrive, and a native English speaker might say show up. Actually, that's a phrasal verb in my book. I'll show you here if I can find it. Here it is, show up. Hey, well, I'll just show you right now. Here's an example of a page in my book. Every page is simple. You're going to see four things. You're going to see the phrasal verb here on top, then the definition, then some examples here in the yellow, and then you're going to see some notes right down here. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Show up. Okay, it means to arrive. Okay, if you show up somewhere, it means to arrive. Now, that's one meaning of the phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs sometimes have many meanings. Now, this book doesn't teach all the meanings of a phrasal verb, but it teaches you a meaning that I think you should know. Okay, so for example, show up. I think you should use this more in your English speech. Now, phrasal verbs are really common in our speech, more than in writing. But in casual writing, we still use phrasal verbs all the time too. So phrasal verbs are so important. A lot of people on my channel, maybe you, have been asking me to teach phrasal verbs. So I thought the best way is to write some books on phrasal verbs and then make some more lessons, explaining some of these phrasal verbs. Okay, so let's take a look. So show up, arrive. Here are the examples. We're waiting for him to show up. We're waiting for him to show up. Sorry for showing up a bit late. Sorry for showing up a bit late. They showed up to the party with a bottle of wine. They showed up to the party. Hey, that's great. Do you like showing up to parties with a gift for the host, maybe a bottle of wine or some snacks or a present of some kind? When are you going to show up? When are you going to show up? Okay, so those are some examples of how to use this phrasal verb. And then here in the purple, you'll see my notes. Okay, now the first thing here is it's going to tell you if the phrasal verb is some children playing outside. Sounds like they're screaming. Hard to concentrate when there are children screaming down by my swimming pool. Okay, so in the purple, you're going to see it's going to tell you if the phrasal verb is separable or inseparable. Okay, phrasal verbs can be separable, which means we can put something in the middle of the phrasal verb. Now with this one, show up, with this meaning, it's always inseparable, which means we cannot separate it. Always the word show and up are together. Okay, and then here also in the notes, I say you can show up to or at. They mean the same thing. Okay, for example, here when it says they showed up to the party with a bottle of wine, they showed up to the party with a bottle of wine. You could say they showed up at the party with a bottle of wine. So, you know, they mean the same thing. Sometimes in English, things are flexible, which means you can choose which word you want to use, okay? So every, page, like I said, in this book is the same. It will have some examples, maybe some notes, and so it's really easy. It's really simple. Now, in my last book on advanced phrasal verbs, remember that video? I challenged you to take the 101-day challenge, 101 day, where every day you just learn one phrasal verb from this book. You download this book on your phone or on your iPad like this, and then when you wake up in the morning, just take 30 seconds or 1 minute just to read this, right? It just takes a few seconds to read that, and then just think about it for a minute, 1 or 2 minutes. Think about, how can I use this phrasal verb today in my speech? Which situations could I use this phrasal verb in? And if you don't have anyone to speak English to, kids are screaming again. If you don't have anyone to speak English to, well, then just imagine a situation where you could be in the future where you could use this. For example, you could think, if a native English speaker ever invites me to their house for a meal, I could ask them, what time should I show up? What time should I show up? That's great. Then you use that phrasal verb, right? Then you finished your homework. Your challenge for the day is done. You read it, you thought about it for a few seconds, and you thought of a situation you could use it in. Now you're done. You can carry on with the rest of your day. I think that's really the best way to learn new vocabulary, phrasal verbs or idioms. Hey, my next book is going to be on idioms. Idioms are a lot of fun, but phrasal verbs are a lot of fun too. I hope you guys really enjoy these books. I hope you learn a lot from these books. But, I think that's the best way to learn. Just to see some examples and then to think about, how you could use this in your own life, right? You need to make English personal to you. The more you feel English, the more confident you will get, and the better your English will get. So I think this book could really help you. It's really simple. I love simple things. I love simple books. It's just, there's nothing to it. It's just 4 parts on each page, right? It's just super simple. So I hope you guys find this helpful. I'm excited. This is the 7th book I've written this year. The 7th. Wow. How many books have you written this year? So this is my 2nd phrasal verbs book. My next book is going to be on idioms. Idioms are fun, probably more fun than phrasal verbs, but phrasal verbs are probably more important because we use phrasal verbs all the time in English. So I think this book will help you understand native English speakers more, because when I speak English to native English speakers, I use phrasal verbs all the time, and even in my writing and stuff. So this is important. I hope you guys like it. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, if you want to get a copy of the book, I'll put the link to this on my website right down there in the description. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm here in Thailand. It's a few days after Christmas, and I'm just really enjoying life right now. So yeah, I hope you guys are too. See you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. I can't even remember how I end my videos. It's been so long since I've made a video. Is that what I usually say? See you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Yeah, I think I say that. All right. So I'll see you guys over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.